Okay, this is the second part of the video which is already posted previously. We are seeing MRS.DALLOWAY by Virginia Woolf. Fine, here as Dr. Holmes prepares to send Septimus away, Septimus feels trapped and terrified. He does not want to lose his mind, his feelings, or his freedom to a cold institution. So he is not ready to surrender himself to any kind of medication or to the societal expectations. So in a moment of desperate defiance, Septimus chooses death. He throws himself from the window and dies on the railing below. His final words, "I will give it to you," express his defiance against the system that wants to take him away. He is ready to give himself to the death and not to the society. He's saying, "I will give it to you." He's crying that "I'll give it to you." The you means here the death. Death is personified here. So he is giving himself to the death and not to the persons around him, or not to the war, or not to any kind of traumas causing like any kind of things in the society. And then Rishi is left devastated. She had tried everything to save him. She's alone in a foreign country and full of grief. Septimus' suicide shows the failure of society to understand true suffering and the terrible cost of that failure. Fine. So, this is the tragic fate of Septimus. Moving on, here we see the evening party. Now we return to Clarissa's party. The party is the social center of the novel. Guests include famous people and old friends like Peter Walsh, Sally Seaton, Hugh Whitebread, and members of the upper class society. So even Prime Minister is represented at the party. As I already said, Richard Dalloway, he is a politician. He is a member of the parliament in a conservative party. So he invited Prime Minister of the country to his home party. See. And then Clarissa moves among her guests with grace. She wants the evening to be beautiful. She enjoys watching people connect. But yet, inside her, she often feels lonely, even when surrounded by conversations and laughter. And then Sally appears again, now married and more conventional than during her young age. During her young age, Sally was actually, she's very adventurous, thrilling, and energetic girl. But now she has become a conventional, and she is like suppressing her feelings, like all the people, like she is surrendering herself to the society, unlike Septimus Warrens. Fine. Then Peter watches Clarissa with respect and lingering feeling. The party shows Clarissa's ability to create a moment of connection and beauty in the middle of life's complexity. And then the news of Septimus' death. Late at the party, Sir William Bradshaw mentions casually that a young man he treated has died by suicide. So he says this almost as a professional fact. Clarissa hears the news and she is feeling this as a bad omen actually. She steps into a small room to process it. So, because in this grand occasion and in a positive way, she tries herself to be in a positive manner, but this news triggers her in the negative extreme. So, although Clarissa never met Septimus, she feels unexpectedly connected to him. She thinks about the meaning of death and how death can be an act of communication. She believes that Septimus' decision was both a defiance and a message to the world. As I said earlier, death is a defiance. Death is personified. Mostly Virginia Woolf's work is written with the theme of death and tragedy. She also died by suicide. She took all the stones and put in her pockets, and then she drowned herself in a well nearby her home. So this was the tragic fate. So these suicidal thoughts and themes are often dealt in her works. So this moment links Clarissa and Septimus. Their life echoes each other across social boundaries. Clarissa's reflection on Septimus' death leads her to think about her own life choices and the small way she resists conformity. And then moving on, major themes. Nothing but time and memory, mental illness and trauma. So the time and memory, this novel happens in one day, but the characters live through the past memories and the present moments simultaneously. And then the symbol Big Ben keeps time, but people live in memory. So it reminds the present time. This Big Ben, it rings often in the story, but the people are still, they didn't mind the time and they are living in the past memory. And then mental illness and trauma. Septimus shows the deep psychological harm caused by the war. Shell shock, he's affected by this disorder, shell shock. And then novel criticizes how the society and the doctors failed to understand trauma. And social conformity versus individual freedom. So the two opposite characters, like social conformity is Clarissa Dalloway, she represents the social conformity, and Septimus Warrens, he represents the individual freedom because he decides his fate, but Clarissa couldn't. And then death and existence. Clarissa often thinks about death and what life means. Septimus' death becomes a statement about existence. Connection and isolation. Wait a minute. Connection and isolation, people want to connect, but loneliness remains a common human experience. Here, Clarissa's party is an attempt to connect to the real human connection. And literary technique, as we have already seen that stream of consciousness technique is used. The novel flows like a thought. We move inside the character's mind without clear chapter break or a simple dialogue, and the perspective shifts from Septimus to Clarissa, and then to Richard, and then to Killman, and then to Elizabeth Dalloway, the daughter. And interior monologue, here Woolf gives us a direct access to the private thoughts. So next, moving on, parallel narrative. Clarissa and Septimus their story runs side by side. So this is parallel narrative. It is also called as counterpoint. And then symbolism, Woolf uses simple images to mean more. For example, flower stand for beauty and life. Big Ben stands for the time and social order. And then the motor car represents power and authority. The skywriting suggests the attempts at communication or messages beyond. Finally, we are at the part of MCQ. This MCQ, you can take screenshot and you can just refer this. So in which year Mrs. Dalloway was first published in 1925, and what narrative technique is primarily used? A stream of consciousness. Or what time period does the main action of Mrs. Dalloway take place? One day. What is Septimus Warren Smith suffers from? Cell shock, post-traumatic stress disorder. And what is Clarissa Dalloway's former suitor who returned from India? Peter Walsh. And what is the opening line of the novel? Mrs. Dalloway said she would buy the flowers herself. And the skywriting, what is written in the sky by the airplane is toffee. Who is Miss Skillman? Elizabeth's history tutor. What is the name of Clarissa's daughter? Elizabeth. Where did Clarissa spend her youth? Burton. Her childhood days are spent when she was in 6-year-old. When she was in 6-year-old, she was in Burton. During the time, she had a great time with Sally Seton and Peter Walsh. And then what recurring sound marks the passage of the time in the novel? Big Ben. How does Septimus die? Throws himself from the window. What is Lucretia's nationality? Italian hat maker. Who is Sir William Bradshaw? A psychiatrist. Here it is given a general practitioner, but actually William Bradshaw is a psychiatrist, and Dr. Holmes is the general practitioner of Septimus Varens. And then, what event is Clarissa preparing for throughout the novel? Evening party. Which modernist literary movement is Virginia Woolf associated with? Bloomsbury Group. So this Bloomsbury Group, she herself and her husband, and then three or four members, they started to write the novel in a modern perspectives. These modernist writers of 20th century, they started this kind of group, and they want the novel to be in a progressive way, not in the conventional way which was written for the so many years and centuries. So they want to have some kind of sort of changes using this stream of consciousness technique. That's it. Then what flower shop does Clarissa visit? It's Mulberry. Who was Clarissa's passionate friend from the youth? Is Sally Seaton. What does Clarissa feel when she hears of Septimus' death? The understanding and connection. Which war's aftermath is depicted in the novel? World War One. Don't confuse this with the World War Two, because so many plays and novel and the drama, everything we could see. World War Two impacts large, but still we have to be very clear about which war is related to which work of the writers in English literature. Fine. So here, World War One is affecting the characters. And what is Richard Dalloway's profession? Member of Parliament. What does Peter Walsh habitually carry? A pocket knife, which symbolizes his evil nature, which is not shown to the outside world. He is secretly having this pocket knife wherever he goes from the childhood. See how crazy he is. Fine. The novel's setting is primarily in which city? London. What literary device is exemplified by Clarissa and Septimus' parallel stories? Counterpoint. Parallel narrative, as I said. And then which quote from Shakespeare appears in the novel? Fear no more the heat over the sun. So this quote, fear no more the heat over the sun, nor the furious winter's rage. This is the exact quote taken from Cymbeline Act 2, Scene 2 from Shakespeare's work. That's all for today. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for spending your valuable time. Thank you.